Okay. What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Clinic, HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com, Restored Motions, restoredmotions.com, and ProCharge EV, ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all, if you had Labor Day off, hope you enjoyed your day off. Back at it today. So just kind of a rundown. Because yesterday was Labor Day, there was no Brian Kelly, and the team played on Sunday. There was no Brian Kelly press conference, so Brian Kelly's press conference is today at noon, so Tuesday at noon, instead of normally on Monday. Meanwhile, the Saints are into game week now, so Saints had the weekend off, and now they practiced on Monday, they're officially into game week for the Titans. As the Saints open up their season on Sunday in the Dome against Tennessee. Saints are a 3-point favorite in that one. Don't know if I've seen a posted line yet for LSU and Grambling, but really, who cares? It's just a get right home opener. Just go. Let's go out there and stay healthy, execute, get better, get ready to go to Starkville week 3. So, all right, we'll say some good mornings. Y'all fire away with whatever you got. How about Duke last night beat Clemson? I don't know if you watched that game. Crazy. The final, it was oddly familiar to the LSU Florida State game. The final was 28-7, so Duke won by 3 touchdowns. The crazy part is Clemson had like 10 possessions in Duke territory, and just they had 2 turnovers inside the 10. They had a field goal blocked. It was crazy. Like, Clemson outgained Duke 422 to 374. They just could. Clemson first downs 29-17, total yards 422 to 374, passing 209 to 175, rushing 213 to 199. Penalties, Clemson 1, Duke 7. Time of possession, Clemson 33-33, Duke 26-27. Like, Clemson dominated the stat sheet and lost by 3 touchdowns. That is what turnovers will do. Clemson had 3 turnovers. They had a field goal blocked. It was crazy. So hat tip, Duke beats Clemson. And so your boy, that'd be me, had LSU to win the SEC and Clemson to win the ACC, and both teams lost their season opener. So at least I got Colorado right. So I'm going to latch on to that because it's about the only thing I've gotten right so far. Anyway, all right, y'all fire away. Let's say some good mornings here. Nick Taylor, good morning. Brant Roban, good morning. Help me understand why the coaches aren't using Perkins like they did against Arkansas. He was irrelevant, sitting back, spying the quarterback all night. So, Brant, I would say go listen to the interview I did yesterday with Derry Beckwith on AFR. It was the second segment of the show. It's also posted at the... Hang on. Here, I'm going to post the link in the comments. So when you get a second, just go watch it. I'll post it in both chats here. Here's the YouTube link for the video for the interview I did with Derry Beckwith. So remember, Derry Beckwith was an All-SEC linebacker. He was the middle linebacker on the 07 National Championship team. It was him and Ollie Highsmith. Was the captain on the 08 team. Derry was great. So I had Derry on back in July to talk about Perkins' move. And his point at the time was he did not like it. He did not like moving Harold Perkins. And so we talked yesterday again about what he saw with Harold Perkins and all that sort of stuff. And I'll sort of summarize, but essentially Derry's point was, like, the hardest part about playing inside backer is you have to train your eyes. It's not like when you're rushing the passer at see-ball, hit ball. You've got to watch the back. You got to turn in coverage. You got to watch quarterback. There's so much going on. And he said, and that's going to be a season-long process. And, I've given the example of two different players who have essentially done what they're trying to do with Perkins, and it was Kendall Beckwith and Devin White. They did the same thing with both of them. As freshmen, really athletic dudes that they were like, hey, just go rush the passer, and then they developed them into really good off-ball linebackers. And Derry's counter to that was, yeah, but Kendall Beckwith and Devin White weren't all-American pass rushers as a freshman. That's a great point. So it's like you have this dude that is not just good at, like he is elite at that thing, and you struggle at that thing on Sunday. So, you know, I didn't have a hard and fast, like really line in the sand feeling on the Perkins move. I know a lot of you did. My point was I've seen LSU do this before, where they've taken, like what I just mentioned, with Kendall Beckwith and Devin White, and they've moved guys from being an edge rusher as a freshman, just to get them on the field, to an inside, off-ball linebacker, and they became All-Americans. So I've seen it happen before. I also can understand, like, you've got Omar Spates and Greg Penn, West Weeks and Whit Weeks, and you've got guys that can play off-ball linebacker, and keep Perkins as a pass rusher where he can affect the game. So I mean, look, I'm sure I'm going to ask Brian Kelly about that today if they have a plan to move Harold Perkins back. I'm sure the answer is going to be no, because quite honestly, again, that's the best offensive line you're probably going to face all year. So, will your edge rushers have more success against Grambling and Mississippi State and Ole Miss than they did against Florida State? Yes. Kelly Gross, hey Dad, good morning. Trey Fisher, what's going on? Alton Trahan, good morning. Debbie Jenkins, Michael Cook, Michael Wyckoff, good morning. Jerry DeLucky headed home from Orlando, with the exception of the second half of the game. It was a great trip with family and friends. Glad to hear it, Jerry. You know, man, unfortunately, Jerry, that's been all too familiar a response after these season openers. Like, the trip to Lambeau was awesome, except for the game. The trip to LA for the Rose Bowl and UCLA was awesome until the second half. I'm so glad I did not make this trip to Orlando. I mean, I've been there and done that thing already. Let's see, what are your feelings on the red zone decisions? Well, Brant, I hate to do the thing where it's hindsight's 20/20, but I thought in both instances you should have taken the points. And I'll just, like, this is a general rule that I subscribe to. And again, I get it. The next game I coach will be my first and all that stuff. If you're at home, I think you can afford to take more risks, because the home crowd is eventually going to help you sway momentum, and you're going to get breaks from being at home. So I can take a risk at home. I can go for it on a fourth down. On the road, I feel like you got to play perfect. And that was a partisan Florida State crowd. You were on all that stuff. And I thought LSU had to get points. Now, you're going to look at the final score and say 45-24, 2 field goals wouldn't matter. I disagree, and here's why it would have. If all else is equal, and it's not to say it would have been, you would have had a 9-point halftime lead instead of a 3-point halftime lead. Their field goal to start the second half wouldn't have tied the game. It would have brought them within 6. The entire dynamic of the game changes. I mean, look, ultimately you got to score points. And I understand why it's so tempting to be at the 1-yard line and say we're going for it. We're at the 1-yard line. But I didn't like it. Now, they went for it. That's fine. So if you're going to go for it, the question is, all right, what do you think about the play call? I know there's a lot of people that don't like going out of the shotgun in short distance. I get that. However, I would also say when it's the thing you do exclusively, I don't know why you would change in a short yardage situation. You have to have drawn up plays that are your goal line plays. They tried to run power with Josh Williams, got stuffed. They threw from Malik Neighbors twice, once to the sideline, once to the back of the end zone, which, by the way, the throw to the back of the end zone where Malik caught it but couldn't get his foot down, that was a play they scored on in the scrimmage we watched in Tiger Stadium. So we watched them rep that in a goal line situation. It was just, it was a tightly covered ball, and Malik, his foot was out of the back of the end zone. And then on the fourth down play, they ran a zone read. And so you have a read option, right? So when you have an RPO, a run pass option, you give your quarterback the option to give to the back, to pull it and run, or pull it, run, and throw. So you have a run with a pass option. So you're giving yourself 3 different options on the play based on what the defense is doing. Florida State crashed down on it, and Jaden got sacked. So he did not read the play correctly. He should have given the ball. That's not to say it would have worked and he would have scored, but he made the wrong read on the play. So anyway, there's a lot there to it, Brant. I mean, I don't know specifically what you were asking, but hope that helps. Scooter Rushing, what's up? Mike the Tiger, at least we are not Florida. So Mike the Tiger, 2023 national champs, has changed his name to Mike the Tiger, at least we are not Florida. Good morning. Damon Gilmore, Trivia Carter has changed his name to FSU as my daddy. Jason Mobile, Brian Kelly said Dabo a fruit basket for taking the spotlight off us today. Scooter, as bad as we lost to Florida State, we didn't lose to Duke. Yeah. Spurge, good morning. Hope everyone's Labor Day was better than Sunday night. Yeah. I don't know, Spurge. I had to go just relive Sunday night all day on Labor Day, so turn the page today. Matt Plavidal, good morning. Not PG rated, but FSU is like, yeah, I can't read that. Dax Jeter, good morning. I'm here to hear more of your thoughts on route concepts. I'm not going down that road again, but whoever the guy was that was posting that yesterday, I'm sure he's all upset about it and all, but I hope he doesn't take offense. It's not a him. It's just it's that part of fan reaction to losses that annoys me. Like, how in the world do you think a fan sitting at home posting on a YouTube chat knows more about route concepts than a guy that spent his entire life coaching football at the highest level? Like, get out of here, man. Like, if you want to talk fundamentally about offense, like, for example, what LSU's offense was under Les, right? Where you're not utilizing the full field, 53 yards wide, where you're not spreading defenses out, where you're choosing to play power football with 2 tights and a fullback, and like, I can completely understand why you'd say, I don't like that approach. That's fine. You can come here and start talking about route concepts. Come on, dog. Like, route concepts. Josh Higginbotham will be at the Dome this weekend. All right, Josh, I'm excited for it, man. Saints are a 3-point favorite over Tennessee. Big challenge. Tennessee's run defense was number 1 in the NFL last year. So, that's a real challenge with no Kamara and potentially no Kendre Miller as well. Wendell Norman. Mike, we went Grambling. Gregory Gordy, good morning. Larry Garner. Greg T, Otter and Hanny's consensus pick from their show is Duke. Okay. Otter's on fire to start the season, man. Hunter Broadhead, good morning. Jeff Hawk, good morning from the Atlanta airport. All right, brother. Safe travels today, man. Hope you're doing great. Christian, good morning. Do you think we can see some of the 5-star freshmen begin playing over guys like Lacey? And on defense, does guys like transfers maybe see Toviano? Well, I mean, I think the fact that the secondary is what it is, and you haven't seen the other guys, probably is as much an indictment on the other guys as anything. As far as the receivers, Kyron Lacey's drops are a problem. He also had a really nice 33-yard catch and run and was open. That's the tricky part, right? Where when he's getting separation and getting open and making plays when he catches the ball, that's the tricky part. because you see all the potential and the things that the coaches like, but you have to catch the ball. So I'm not opposed at all to giving reps to Shelton Sampson and Jaylen Brown because of your freshman receivers. Those two have stood out. So yeah, I would like to see those guys get on the field. And I'll tell you all this, man. Sorry, one second. My apologies, y'all. Sorry about that. Backpack was beeping. So, y'all were talking about the freshman receivers. The one thing I'll tell you is, if you care to, go back to my scrimmage report, and I talked about it in the red zone portion. Brian Thomas had 2 drops, like in his hand drops. So, the drops weren't a new thing. Jude Sansing, hope you have a good day. Can I get a handwritten apology from Phil Steele for giving the worst picks I've ever seen? Winners and losers, man. Matt Plavidal, I was working till 8, but Clemson got smoked. Clemson didn't get smoked. I mean, the final score is what it is. They lost 28-7, but they won in every single stat. They had 2 turnovers inside the 10. They had a field goal blocked. It was crazy. They just kept throwing up on themselves. Bailey C, I agree. Florida State is probably the best team you'll play, but to crumble against a great team doesn't instill confidence. I get it. Completely agree. But listen, we knew going into this season, we talked about it ad nauseum. The secondary was a weakness on this team. Nobody hid from that. My point was, I think the offense is good enough to overcome it. And looked like in the first half, didn't it? Except they couldn't capitalize on drives. Got to finish drives. Weston Weaver, Baby Bobby, good morning. I watched the game and flipped the team. We were good. Brian Wynn, Matt, what are your thoughts on Clemson's route concepts? I'll hang up and listen. Joey Vincent, Neil Pascarella, Barry Jocelyn, what's up, y'all? Leon Williams, Jason H. Mike, at least I got Florida being terrible, right? I got that right too. I think a lot of us got Florida being terrible correctly. Cody Kibido, morning, Matt. Saw Kelly's comments about Logan Diggs. Is that similar situation as Harris? Just hasn't been able to crack the rotation. He said, no, the coach's decision, he said he wasn't 100%. Brian Kelly said Logan Diggs wasn't 100%, which is good to hear because quite honestly, I was surprised we didn't see him. And he had been back at practice. He was not, when we were still allowed, he was not full practice, but he was also not listed on the injury report last week. So I guess he was available, but they chose not to play him. Trevon Lawrence, shout out to your channel. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Trevon. Appreciate that, man. Dax Jeter, at what point do freshman cornerbacks get a look, or even Denver Harris? We did see Ashton Stamps, the freshman from Rummel. So when Chestnut, if you remember the play where, who was it? Andre Sam, where somebody rolled into Chestnut's leg Chestnut came off for play. Ashton Stamps, the freshman, went in. So we did see Stamps in the game. But we saw initially Zy Alexander, Sage Ryan. Ryan came off, Chestnut went in. And then when Chestnut came out, it was Stamps that went in. So, I mean, look, Dax, I ain't trying to pick a fight with anybody, but I've tried to tell y'all for months that the reason Denver Harris isn't playing has little to do with Brian Kelly trying to teach him a lesson or make him earn it. Like, you saw how bad that secondary was on Sunday. If they thought Denver Harris could have gone out there and guarded Keon Coleman, he would have been in the game. Period. Like, there's no other way to say it. They don't feel like he is one of their best options. And they ran a freshman and Ashton Stamps out there before they ran out Denver Harris. And I'm going to tell you all the thing that I've been told by coaches since spring. Denver Harris is an athletic guy, but he guesses a lot, and in high school relied on his athleticism. I never saw Denver Harris play in high school, so I'm not telling you something firsthand. I'm telling you what I have been told, which was he needs to learn how to play the position because you can't just rely on athleticism. You can do that in high school. You can't do it at this level. So, we'll see. Barry. Y'all are digging in on route concepts. Gregory Gordy, Matt, when a defensive player pushes a receiver back, down, or out of bounds, is it considered a tackle in the stat line? Yes. Yes. A receiver or back. I got it. Yes. I mean, ultimately, it's up to the official scorer's opinion. But yes, generally, like if we're running along the sideline and I hit you with my shoulder and you go out of bounds, yes, that's a tackle. Discretion is what I was trying to think. The official score's discretion. Black goatee, bro. What a long drive back to Louisiana. Taking the L back to Louisiana. Then we had to pass through Tallahassee. And our third inability to generate push on the O-line and D-line sealed our doom. I thought the D-line played well. I thought LSU's D-line, Mekhi Wingo was disruptive. Jordan Jefferson had a TFL. They really limited Florida State's running game. That wasn't your problem. Getting off the field on third down again, and the inability to cover. Brad David, all the people that predicted LSU to blow out Florida State are quiet now. One of the reasons I tweeted on Sunday, I don't know if you saw it, but I was like, drop me your predictions for the game. And so there were hundreds and hundreds of people, and it was obviously most people follow me on Twitter are LSU fans, so it was LSU fans. And it was because I was curious what type of game people were thinking they were going to see, like a 34-31 type game, like high scoring, low scoring, close game. And overwhelmingly it was 31-17, 48-20. It was Tigers, but basically the game you saw in reverse. And generally that's indicative of how the fan reaction is going to be when it doesn't go that way. So if you're expecting a close game and you get a close game and it doesn't go your way, it's disappointing. When you're expecting your team to roll and you get rolled, it's disappointing, it's embarrassing. It's generally the reaction goes the way that this reaction went. Cody Champion, Devin Johnson, WD Blanchard, Scooter Rushing, Cajun Country. Did not think missing Mason Smith was going to be as big. One of those scrambles could have ended in a sack, could have made a difference. I mean, I don't know, man. You lost by 21. It's hard to say that a defensive lineman has a 21-point impact. Neil Pascarella, morning, Matt, FSU fan, but I love your show and we'll continue to tune in. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate that, man. And good luck to the Noles, man. It's a good team. Knew they were good. Didn't think they were going to be that good. I don't see Florida State being better than Alabama by the time we get to that week. Cody, I'm going to tell you, man, you're only saying that because of the uniform. That is an inherent bias you have because of because of the jersey. Florida State is better at quarterback than Alabama. Florida State's top 2 receivers are better than Alabama's, period. That's not debatable. Florida State has a much more veteran offensive line. Bama struggled there a year ago. On the defensive front, there is no question Florida State's defensive line is better than Alabama's. Jared Verse and Dallas Turner are both really special players that are edge rushers that'll be taken to the top. I think that's a push. But on the interior, I would take Florida State's interior line. Bama's secondary, if they're healthy, I would take over Florida State's secondary. But Bama's going to be down a safety and a corner this week against, or could be anyway. They're questionable this week for Texas. So, Cody, I'm telling you, man. Like, if you're thinking that Bama is better than Florida State today, that is predicated on nothing more than the uniform, because it's Alabama. And I get why a lot of people feel like Alabama's earned that, and there's a reason we all feel that way about Bama. But, I mean, objectively, I would tell you, I would take Alabama's quarterback, or Florida State's quarterback, receivers, offensive line, interior defensive line over Alabama's. Without even blinking. You said pick. I would pick Florida State's in every one of those instances. Oh, man. All right, I got to go. I missed a bunch of y'all. Sorry. Stewart, go Tigers. Zach Morrison, good morning. Shane Bowler, Cameron Kason. Dane Bergeron, good morning. Antron, what's up? Optimus Prime, Phil Stevens. Appreciate y'all for being here. Sorry for all the... sorry for all of my, if I missed you. Tomachita Thomas, good morning. Tim Forche, my apologies if I missed all your comments, y'all, but I got to run. So, y'all have a great day. LSU Daily is live. Please subscribe up to LSU Daily if you haven't done so yet. And AFR 3, we'll see you then. Peace. Oops.